My name is Pamela Quan, and I'm the Executive Director of the DisOrient Asian American Film Festival of Oregon. Welcome to our 17th annual festival, and thank you for tuning in to our virtual program. DisOrient provides a platform to share universal human experiences through the lens of Asian American and Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander narratives. Great examples can be found in stories about family, friends, and crime-fighting capers. These are all themes that are present in the next film that we're about to discuss, Lumpia with a Vengeance. This is a sequel to the 2003 film Lumpia, which takes place in Fogtown and went on to develop quite a cult following. Fogtown is none other than Daly City, California. I know that because it's my hometown, as well as that of the director of the film. We're about to chat with the cast and crew of Lumpia with a Vengeance. It's my pleasure to introduce the writer, director, producer, and Daly City homeboy, Patricio Ginelsa.
Hi, Pam.
Hey, hello.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Thank you for coming. And playing Rachel, we have the pleasure of introducing April Absynth.
Hey guys.
Hey there.
Good to see everyone.
Great to see you. The actor playing Jemini, Katrina Dimaranan.
Hi, everyone.
Hey there. Hi. And the super hilarious character, Tyrone, played by Edward Baon.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Well, it's good now that you're here. A warm welcome to all of you. First of all, I think it's super genius that you put food in the title of the film. Food is oftentimes the gateway to a culture. And what better ambassador to Filipino American culture than Lumpia? The world you created in this film is so culturally specific and unapologetically so, with a huge Filipino American cast, story, and even a Filipino American superhero. Let's step back and maybe provide a little bit of history. Patricio, when you were growing up in Daly City, you and your buddies enjoyed making films. And it totally makes sense that you went on to study cinema production at USC. Then in 2000, you worked as an associate producer for the award-winning film, The Debut, starring Dante Bosco. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
So The Debut was, that was like my real film school, even though USC was like my training, because the Debut was an independent film that was Filipino American, and literally I learned really what it took to really create a independent film, but also exposed me to the fact that there was literally an appetite for films like a Filipino American film, and being on the Debut. I mean, it took years for the director and being part of that, but I think us being on the road for 2 years and having to travel from city to city all over the United States got me to get really out of my California, my Daly City-ness, and really visit other pockets of Filipinos around the country, and to see just really like how, people really want to see more movies like them. And so that's, in a way, I've always kind of grasped to that image of people watching The Debut in theaters in every city as really my motivation to really crank out more films, whether it was music videos or commercials, that it became our responsibility to try to get that on screen more.
That's wonderful. Probably the best part is that you met your wife while working on the film, right?
Yeah, and Dante Bosco actually played me in our wedding video, so it's kind of crazy because my wife Melanie, she worked on the film as a grassroots coordinator, and we've that's what happens when you spend so much time on the road, you
right.
just
right, you get to know someone.
Yeah, and we were on the same page, and we all had the same love for our community, and so it just developed from there. And she's even now a producer on this film as well. So
wow, that's great. Well, no wonder it did well. So it's great that you have that shared passion. And then you went on to direct successful music videos and commercials along the way, including several for the Grammy Award-winning musical group, the Black Eyed Peas. So you bring all this experience to the table, and that's quite an amazing start. How did you ever come up with the concept for this film?
Um, you know, I always talk about it was a joke between my brother and I. I mean, we already been making movies with the neighborhood. Edward was one of our original neighbors in Daly City, and every summer we would come together and make shorts. So when I was at USC and the time, and I came back home for one summer, I decided why not we reunite the whole gang and try to shoot a movie together. And at the time we were inspired by a movie called El Mariachi from Robert Rodriguez, and that was a movie about a Mexican superhero who used the guitar as a weapon. And my brother, we all wondered what would be the Filipino version of that superhero. And the best, my brother made a joke saying, "Oh, why not a guy with a Barong Tagalog and just who throws lumpia around, you know?" And and I said, wait a minute, there's something there. Let me and so my brother it started with as a joke, and this whole time I've been trying to justify that joke into some cohesive story. So
That's hysterical.
so what started as a joke became this comedy genesis, and you know what I mean, we were just kids trying to really have fun that summer and reunite again. So why not a wacky action comedy? And for me it was trying to tie in this whole theme of the Filipinos and Filipino Americans. So to take this whole schism and just tension I've always felt, just the difference between the two cultures and but keep it very light in a comic book form.
Right. Well, many people aren't aware that so many Asian Americans have always loved comic books and superheroes. Why do you think that is?
I think it's an escape. I think superheroes really provide an inspiration. I mean, for me, my favorite superhero was Spider-Man, but because he had a mask on, he could have been anyone underneath that mask. He could have been black, he could have been white. And for me, I always imagined he was Filipino American. He had the same problems I did, trying to get the girl, always had money issues, how to pay for the bills. It was so with a superhero, that in turn really turned me on to the just entire world of comic books. And so that was really the kind of the concept behind Lumpia, was really to take that heroic form and try to wrap it with just a fusion of the comic books and food and culture. And that was a fun challenge. And then the sequel actually provided a chance to kind of even look into it more, and just really up the ante.
Yeah. As you're talking, I'm thinking there is something about superheroes where they feel a little isolated and they're looking for that sense of belonging. And maybe that's why a lot of Asian Americans relate, that resonates with them. This is a question for everyone. How did you become involved with this project and how did you all meet? Let's start with April.
Sure, yeah. So it's actually pretty funny because Katrina, who plays Jemini, she and I both went to the same high school. Yeah, it was such a serendipitous thing that we ran into each other in the lobby where the auditions were being held. And we looked at each other and we were like, wait, are we auditioning for the same role or what's going on? Like the whole mental filter that actresses and actors go through when they go to auditions. But it had been so long since we had seen each other, so we didn't even really recognize each other until we both got cast for the movie, me as Rachel and her as Gemini, and then we were able to reconnect from there. But it's just really amazing that two female Filipinos from the Bay Area were able to be a part of this Bay Area movie and to kind of keep that authenticity. But that's what led me here.
That is so cool. Yeah. And why did you read about the part and everything and a little bit about the film. Why was it important for you to be part of this project?
Ooh, so when I saw the posting for the audition for Rachel, it was the first time I had ever seen a role for a Filipina American, a girl who was in high school, who looked like me, and who was a lead role in a feature film. Those were all things that I had never seen together in one package. And I was like, why not? This is here. This could be a sign, not that I'd get it, but to just know that it's happening. You gotta take your chances, and that's why I decided to go for it. And I'm glad I didn't talk myself out of it.
Right. Well, that's great. How about you, Katrina? Why did you become involved with this project, and how did you hear about the audition and all that?
Yeah. Well, the audition process, same as April, it was such a crazy moment because we were like, of everyone that you could run into for a movie casting, right? I'm just like, I think we went to the same high school,
Yep.
but I was like, but I don't know, but this is crazy because, you could audition with so many people for one film. And I just feel like for me, I always thought everything happens for a reason. But when I did the audition and, I got to know Gemini's role and her character more, I was like, okay, she's a badass. And I mean, let's be real, I'm a badass.
Yes, you
And
are.
I just
Yes,
really
you
love,
are.
I just really love how strong she was. She is the villain, as we all know. She is the villain of the film. But the thing is, she just holds herself just so well. And she has this strength about her that I feel that the audience falls falls for. You know what I mean? Like she draws in so many people because it's just like, say, with Maleficent, right?
Yes.
We know that there's more to her. There's something about her. Like you don't just turn evil, right? And so there's something more about Gemini. And even as a kid, when you watch films in the movie theaters and you're just like, I really wish I could see someone that looked like me. Like April was saying, especially being Morena, which is like a dark-skinned Filipino. I've seen Filipino supporting actors in big films, don't get me wrong. But again, keyword supporting, and also it's always the light-skinned Filipinos, So I just thought it would be such a good moment and sort of an advancement to not only the media industry, but also in the Filipino community, to finally have someone that is of Morena skin being one of the lead roles in such an awesome film. So for me, I got more and more in love and obsessed with not only Gemini, but also the film and my co-workers, my co-actors, and we just became a family. And I think people can sense that when not only when they watch the film, but when they meet us all together, like in these settings like this, they just see how it's just one big Lumpia family, trying to bring the Filipinos up there.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys did it well. I mean,
We're
that's
just
important.
so proud.
Yeah, important that you bring up that that issue, because not people don't talk about all of these really nuanced issues. Thank you, Edward. Well, you were buddies, and there was kind of an obligation, a guy code that you got to support your buddy. But
Exactly.
you could have pretended to be busy or pretended Lola
Sure.
was calling. So why was it important for you?
There's no audition for him.
There was no so with me, it was one of those things where I've known Pat for several years, ever since we were in grade school, and anything that this guy is doing, I know I would love to be a part of, because I see where his heart's at, and he's very passionate. And I'm speaking of about Pat. He's really passionate about his movies and what he's doing for the Asian American community. And I just wanted to be a part of it, and anything to support that. What limited capacity it is, if anything, I can participate in anything, even as a small role. But he ended up giving me one of the lead roles, and I was like, oh no, Pat, I have no acting experience, and you're having me as an amateur amongst these professional actors that even audition for parts, and I'm acting with them.
We're talking about you had acting experience. It doesn't matter if it wasn't a real film. It was our childhood movies. It has to count.
Yeah,
Right.
Pat, 6th grade drama class does not count. And those short form movies that we did when we're in 6th, 7th grade don't count neither.
Hey, those could be collector's items now.
True, they are.
You don't know. You pulled those out of the vault.
Definitely.
And then he said to you, "Have I got a role for you?" Huh?
Yes. And when I took on the role, I actually thought, okay, it's going to be one of those short films that we were doing when we were kids. Pat would feed me lines. Okay, this is what you're going to say, and act it out. Okay, fine. But then when it was my first time on set was such a shell shock for me, because I was totally out of my element. All the cameras, all the cast, the crew, everyone was there, professional actors, they were, they had their lines down packed. I mean, they actually, practice their lines. And for me, I just thought, I'll just wing it, and I wasn't prepared. I'll be honest, on my first film shoot. And it was such a shock. And I can't believe that I actually was able to pull through and do it.
Well, that's cool that, he had that faith in you and he's like, you can do this. And you probably grew as a result. So that's awesome.
Oh yeah. He gave me that look as soon as I saw him stick his head out of the box, and he looked at me like, let's go. What's going on? I really was shocked. I mean, I it took me like how many takes? Pat, it was like 10 million takes, and then one of the professional actors.
Like we shot digitally, it wasn't actual film because
right.
that would have been a waste.
Celluloid, I know. But that's funny. That's great. Well, representation really is so important, as you all mentioned, and I think we're starting to see more Filipino Americans in mainstream TV thanks to talented actors like yourselves. But we're still not really seeing much Filipino American culture in media, are we?
We're seeing a lot more. I think obviously there's a lot more filmmakers now who are putting more of our stories up, and that's exciting.
Yeah.
Just in Sundance, I saw, Leonor, Ms.Manalo.
Right. That was great.
But even other films here in, I see that Die in Progress and Yellow Rose, which our producer Ray worked on, and Fabulous Filipino Brothers, which our Bosco family friends did. So but I think you're right. I mean, it's so far so little, and why did it take so long to get to this point? But I think, like I said, we knew our community, we knew our market, and that's the reason what pushed us to get this movie through, even though there were times to like we would want to give up. But our film was crowdfunded, and so we literally like willed this movie into existence. From making the film to even now we're showing it around. So it's kind of, we're in deep gratitude to the folks who have backed us, or backers or supporters. And sometimes it takes a village. It's been like that for every project I've worked on.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, when you were writing the script for the sequel, where did you start? Did you have some concepts in mind that you really wanted to cover, or did you just start with the characters and go there?
We started out from because we just had our 10th anniversary rescreening of the film. And so it was very important to figure out, okay, why did this have a cult following, aside from the wackiness of throwing Lumpia as a weapon? And I think that's why we talked about Ed. Like I had to make sure that Edward and Francis Custodio played Moon was in the sequel, because for me they were the heart of the first Lumpia movie. And so I had to build from that point on. I knew already we weren't going to do a complete reboot but we did recast some things and made things around, but we wanted to continue that whole story. And I honestly, I really wanted to make the movie that I couldn't afford to make with the first Lumpia movie with the those analog effects. So in a way, I really wanted to kind of push the narrative further and just kind of expand the universe of what the story could be told, but also have fun at the same time. So recasting, making sure we had a great cast, shoot for the sky for cast, and see how much of the core original actors wanted to come back.
How'd you get Danny Trejo to act in your film?
And that's the thing with this industry, right? It's full of rejections and no's, but you just never know who's going to say yes. And a producer, Jeff Lamb, and the folks, we got to his people, and they loved what they saw. They just wanted to make sure we weren't making fun of his Trejo's tacos, and he was good. He showed up, which was our everyone here can attest to. Like, that was one of the all of us here actually shared a scene. We were there during that big day we shot him, and so we had fun, but it was a very intense day of shooting.
Right, I could imagine. How long did it take you to write and shoot?
So 2013 we got crowdfunded. Myself and Bernard Badian, we didn't break story at first draft until it took us a year to break our first draft, and it took us 2 or 3 years to get it to the point. I mean, April's character, Rachel, it was never supposed to be the daughter who was the main hero. It was originally supposed to be the son. And I think the evolution of the script, and even when April was casted, we kept developing her character even as we were shooting. And a lot of that was a testament. Even Katrina and Ed, everyone who was on set, because it took us 2 years to finish, we were still rewriting script even in post-production. I think the version that we have now is, much better than the first draft that we spit it out 5-6 years ago.
Well, it was such an ambitious endeavor. I mean, given that you added fight choreography and stunts, special effects, this huge cast, like extras everywhere, music, a dance scene, costumes, and then, let's not forget the budget for all that lumpia. So what was it like did you ever say, okay, we got to cut out this because, that's too much? Or did you say, let's just do it all?
I think it's hard for myself and a team to say no. I think when we have an idea that we really love, we always try to push the ante, and sometimes the budget will restrict us. But I think a lot of it was really pulling a resource. Even when we wrote, we already knew we were going to shoot. I already knew I had the bread basket bakery involved. I knew it at my high school. So a lot of the production value and what we had, our hookups, was really what, we wrote that in. I was thinking as a producer when I was writing. But yeah, you're right. Like the dance scene, and I think that's due to a lot to our just our team and the music videos and the past projects we've had. We've worked with choreographies and musicians. A lot of the people who are in the soundtrack are people who I did music videos for, so they owed me a favor.
Got it.
So a lot of that is in April here even made the theme song here for the film. So that's been part of our platform. It was really just to really spotlight everyone's talents. Katrina just was Miss Universe Tourism in the Philippines. It's just there's a lot.
I mean, she's beautiful.
I think that's been the beauty of really just working what people are comfortable with and really spotlighting people's talents. And we would have done that dancing if Carla, who plays Jart, knew how to sing and dance. So. Just overall talented. Yeah, all of us. It's
You did do it all. You said you just threw it out there and it made it happen. It's incredible that so much of the original cast came back for the second film. You like Cobra Kai'd this film. I mean, you had like everybody come back. And I think that says something about you as a person and a filmmaker, that so many people would, say yes and want to work with you again. One of the OGs is Tyrone, played by Edward. So Edward, you were there for it all.
I was.
Did you ever think or imagine that you'd have the opportunity to shoot a second film?
To be honest, filming the first Lumpia movie, and we first aired it at San Francisco State. I mean, it was amazing to see how many people supported the film and came out to see this movie, and then it started touring everywhere. And then so there was this buzz that a lot of people wanted to see, okay, what happens next? So Pat put together part 2, and when he put part 2 out, it was I just couldn't believe how far it's gone from filming on camcorders to now professional actors and professional scenes and professional it was just overwhelming,
right, to see the contrast and how much you've grown. That's cool.
Yes.
So about your character, do you think Tyrone is misunderstood?
Yeah, I would say he is. He's kind of like a confused soul where he's still trying to find himself, whether he wants to be cool or he wants to kind of like be the family type kind of guy. So it's so funny because a lot of people actually felt bad for him. Even people who've seen Lumpia 1 and how my character portrayed itself as the block bully, and then all of a sudden, I'm the one who's kind of getting laughed at in part 2 of, getting made fun of.
See, that's a testament to his acting. See, that's like he says he's not an actor, but you would not have feel sympathy for him. We made the original villain of the first one, which people hated, and we made people feel sorry for him the second one. That's right. Got to be acting.
Yeah. It was so funny because it's like I would go walk around after we filmed part 1. I would go around Ceremony Mall, and a lot of people would recognize me from our viewings, our showings.
Oh my goodness!
And I would get booed. I'm like, boo! You're mean. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, that's not how I really am, but it ended up, Yeah.
I know. Well,
That
and
means you
also,
played the character right.
I know that's true.
That's
Thanks.
I would
Thanks.
talent.
I would say, in all seriousness, I think Tyrone's anger towards Fobbs, you know, comes from like a pressure to assimilate that a lot of people of color experience, So, like, don't eat those foods, don't dress like that, don't say that, don't, it's like an expression of self-hate when you don't see
Absolutely.
yourself reflected,
Yes, yes, absolutely. And that's kind of something, and what I loved about my character is that it's like daily life, and where we grew up in Daly City, you had the American born Filipinos versus the fobs, you would call, the people
Yeah.
who had accents. And then, and we would always, if you were American born, you kind of made fun of the ones that, came from the Philippines. So I love that, how my character was, it portrayed a little bit of that stereotype, where there is a fine line, there is a difference between, the culture of being American born Filipino and not American born Filipino. So yeah, it was
Right.
yeah.
I mean, he's just reflecting the messages he gets from society. So, yeah. Traditionally, many superheroes and comic books are geared towards a male audience. And I really love that you have strong women in Lumpia with a Vengeance. And I'd love to hear more from Katrina and April about that. Like, April, you were such a natural. You were so
Oh,
good. I was
thank
just like
you.
really impressed with your performance. I mean, you worked with Kuya, you battled evil, you did it all. What did you enjoy most about playing Rachel?
Gosh, what I loved most about playing Rachel, I feel like growing up in the skin that I have, and as a girl, culturally, at least in my experience, and I don't know if Katrina, you've experienced this too, or other Asian Americans in the audience, you kind of were raised quiet, like to be the nurturer, to listen, to observe, and to not really speak your mind. And if someone told you no, you were just like, okay, fine. And it was really nice to become Rachel and step out of that stereotype, step out of my own self. And I was able to be loud, and I was able to beat people up, and I was be able to speak my mind and fight crime. And like, people told me no, and I punched Tyrone anyway. And, and just like, to just be able to step out of my own experience to kind of be the person that I kind of always wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I'm not happy with who I am, or I'm not grateful for how I was raised. I think, what you were talking about with Edward, there's also confusion on where you belong as a Filipino, carrying those traditional traits that make you a nurturing person, or make you a passionate or fiery person. And then, but having that in a new country where the whole mentality here is like survival of the fittest in a different, with different rules. And you're just like, where do I belong here? Because I want to get ahead and I want to succeed, but I want to do it in my own terms. But what do my own terms mean?
Right.
And so to play Rachel, it was really, I wanted to make her a role model that I would have liked to have. So actually, I associated Rachel a lot with my sister, because my sister, I looked up to her a lot, and she always spoke her mind. She was always a badass. And so I tried to play her in that.
Emulate that. That is really neat. Very interesting. I think you did it so well because, I mean, you did physical comedy, like you were doing action physical comedy, and doing it well. But I think your familiarity with culture made you sit really well in that character. It couldn't have just been anyone, like
Wow.
it was really a part of you. So I loved seeing that. I was
Thank you,
excited.
Pam.
You're welcome. Thank you. I was excited to hear that you got a role on the show Blind Spotting.
Yeah.
Gritty
Yeah.
and dramatic, totally different, right?
Totally different. But what's so cool, and this is what I love about the girl who I play in that show, her name's Jackie. She just provides a whole other scope of the spectrum of what it means to be a Filipina American woman, and just to have portrayed the storytelling of her experience and the experience that a lot of Filipino Americans and Asian American women have. It was really fun to be able to be that person to story tell that as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
In the babes, it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Thanks. Thank you. Well, let's go to another strong woman. I'd love to talk with Katrina, who plays Jemini, and Ms.Manalo. Moral compass aside, your character was a force. What you get to do is kind of an actor's dream. You get to play two sides of a character. How fun was that? And who came up with your look? And tell us all about it.
Oh man, it was super fun. It was super fun. Actually, I wasn't even aware, I think the first audition, that I was going to be playing two characters. So that was a shock for me. I was told that it was just Gemini at first. And when I found out about her other side, and how it goes along with the storyline, I was just like, this is awesome. Like, they trust me to do this and have both sides. So it was really nice because, normally outside of Miss Gemini's or Gemini Miss Manalo's character, I am a beauty queen. So I love talking to everyone. I love laughing. I love making people laugh. And yet once they're like, Pat's like, okay, action. I'm just in this mode. They're like, I'm mysterious. I'm very mysterious. I'm not conservative. I'm very strong and mean in a sense, but there's a reason for that, And like April was saying, many of the times Filipino, especially Filipino women, are seen as so conservative, where they're not always allowed to speak their mind, right? They're always below someone else in a sense. So what I like about Miss Manalo and Gemini's character is that she doesn't give into that stuff. That's the type of person, even though she's the villain and the bad guy of the movie, she is so strong. She's strong enough to say that she doesn't want to play that type of person in her life. She's going to go for whatever she wants. I know that it was, she was selling drugs at a high school, but the point of that is that
it was food. It was food drugs, though.
Yeah, exactly. It was lumpia. But the point is, she's going to go after what she wants, and she's not going to let anyone get in her way. And I think that represents, a lot of Filipino women, especially in today's day and age. So for me, it was awesome to be able to play a part of, she's a history teacher in the daytime, and, she's looking after children, versus at nighttime, she's running this whole gang of kids who are doing the dirty job for her. But again, I feel like it's deeper than that. And, just playing her character and having to really study how I wanted her to be portrayed, that in itself gave me more confidence within me. Because I was like, how am I going to play this, right? I can't just be the typical Filipina, which, compare it to April's character, right? Where she's a high school girl. But what I always say is that, yes, Kuya is the hero. But if you think about April's character as a Filipino woman in high school, she is fighting crime. She is wanting to be more out there. She's kicking butt. She's trying to save her parents and save her community, her classmates. She's actually a superhero too.
He sure
You know what
is.
I mean?
You're right.
Yes,
Because
damn right.
a lot of girls, a lot of girls that will see this film or have seen this film, they're gonna look at April and say, I want to be like her. She's so relatable, but yet she's someone that a lot of Filipino women strive to be, outside of that whole norm of having to be so timid and be so kept to themselves. So I love the part that the two Filipino women in this film are portraying so many different types of Filipino women, but at the end of the day, we are just trying to showcase how diverse we are, you know, and what we have to bring to the table. Yeah. So it's exciting.
Definitely. That's what I was excited about. And, you know, a lot of
Yeah.
credit goes to Patricio for writing strong female characters, you know, not objectified, not victims. So bravo for doing that. We really
Yeah,
appreciate
good job, Pat. He could have had the typical, you know, male villain, but no.
And Katrina, you crushed
Yeah.
it, dude. You
You nailed that
crushed it
character.
as
Thank you.
Gemini.
Yeah.
My God,
But you know
so
what?
good.
I think her look really just put me into that mentality of Gemini too. I mean,
Yeah.
as you know, in the film, she wears black, half white lipstick, and then the whole point of Gemini is because she does play another character. And you
Right.
know, the wardrobe team and the makeup team, kudos to them. They
I
made
know.
it work
definitely.
every
Yeah,
single
heck yeah.
day with our
So
look.
good.
You
It
know,
looked great on the poster too. It was like so dramatic.
yeah.
Yeah.
So.
The film, you know, was so Filipino American. What was like a cultural or just a funny detail that each of you guys liked in the film? Like share something you enjoyed and you were glad was in the film, a little detail or something.
Oh, you know what I love is the scene where Kuya throws the lumpia and then it lands on what's his name? His skin when he was getting the massage.
Oh yeah, with Schneider, yeah,
And he's like, oh, it
in the
burns.
chiropractor, yeah, the oil.
Yeah, that was funny.
But yeah,
That was funny.
Yeah,
How about
I
you?
really love that.
That was funny.
The
How
funny
about you?
parts.
Joe? What was a funny detail that
I mean, you know, my family they're Cebuano from Basayan, so the Santo Nino was always something that I really wanted to add, but really not. You know, I didn't want to blasphemize it. I wanted to portray that as a superhero as well, like keeping our characters in check morally. And
Santo Niño's protecting.
Yeah. So I love that fact because my parents were like the president of the association in San Francisco, so I had a lot to live up to make sure that I satisfied that group.
Basayan pride.
Yes.
Cool. How about you, Edward? What do you think? What do you think was funny in the film?
I think my favorite scene was actually the dance scene with Carlo when he did the Maarte song.
Yeah, Jart.
I mean, that was Jart. You know, it was so entertaining because, like, you know, we would hear the song over and over, and it was just starting to click with us, and you know, to a point like, man, this song is actually gonna go someplace. I really think that.
We're actually releasing that this Tuesday.
Good.
Tuesday. Yeah,
Nice.
we're putting
You
it on
are?
Spotify. Yeah, it's finally.
That's
Oh my
cool.
goodness, it's a great
Took
song.
them a while, but
Yeah, it's a great
It's
song.
catchy.
It's
Yeah.
very it's catchy and it has it's a funny meaning behind it, and you know, it's very Filipino, so I love it. It's great.
I know. That is funny. How about you, April?
I loved the opening fight scene a lot. I loved the giant fork and spoon, wooden fork and spoon being used in the fighting
instead of the
scenes.
screamer sticks. Yeah,
So clever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So
In
good.
many Filipino American homes on the wall.
Exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
and can I also just point out Gemini's weapon is a yo-yo,
Yeah.
right? And if you guys didn't know this, yo-yos date back to centuries ago. It was actually Filipino.
Yes,
A weapon,
yes,
It is the
it was a
yo-yo
weapon.
as
Yes.
a weapon.
Oh.
Imagine in wars, they have like bows and arrows. We're over here with yo-yo, like, you know,
Get
just.
out.
Yeah.
So I love
yeah.
Pat that you incorporated that.
No,
That
yeah,
was
yeah,
so dope.
yeah.
Like
That
that's just
is-
more Filipino history for you.
There we go. You know, you reminded me that the sound effects, you know, the kapow, bam stuff, that reminded me of like the TV show Batman. That was like so fun.
Yeah, the whole kapow thing. Even we in editing in that wedding scene, there's a part there we actually played the graphic stuff, like the kapow and we put like
So cool.
it was like
Yeah. That was fun.
we were having fun with it. The editors and post production, we all had
Too
a separate.
fun.
We had too much fun with that.
Too
I know.
fun.
And the fighting scenes too, when you guys would like punch and then it would have like
Oh, like the anime stuff.
the slow-mo, the animation.
Ah.
And
That
it
was
looked like
cool.
Mark Munoz ate so much lumpia. Every,
We didn't waste an edible lumpia on set. Like, so we never wasted it. Anything that was thrown was actually a fake lumpia or a VFX. So I just want to
Okay.
make sure that's a disclaimer, is that we never
No
wasted
food was
any
wasted.
real
No
lumpia.
lumpia
was
Appreciate
wasted.
that.
We don't waste food.
Appreciate that. Yeah, don't waste food.
I know.
Keep it as baon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly.
I know. I got a kick out of that one scene where someone got punched and it looked like there was blood, but it was diniguan. You know, it was
Sorry,
Yeah,
I
the
love that
chocolate
part
meat
too.
scene. Yeah.
That was good.
It's chocolate meat, sucker.
I know. That's right. It is blood, just not human.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's good
Yeah.
point. Good point.
So I could see a lot of people Googling it. Like, I think that was the whole point of when you
Mhm.
show something, like you know, if we didn't have to explain it and put like a whole, like, you know, asterisk saying, hey, but if it got folks who weren't non-Filipino or wanted to know more, they could always Google it and find out the history. Like that whole yo-yo thing. Not a lot of Filipinos know about the history of the yo-yo.
No. Yeah.
So,
Know that.
but these were all subtle things that, you know, we
I
always try to put
know.
in.
Yeah.
For the compendium, you can compile one.
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
film.
yeah.
I remember in the film someone said something about a barong, you know, the ivory shirt that
Oh,
Filipino
mhm.
men for formal occasions. Someone in the films, that the one
That's
that Kuya
Katrina.
wears.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
Katrina
Gemini.
said that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Gemini.
Was that
'Cause she's the
Gemini?
history
That-
teacher. She knows
that-
her stuff.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Another
When you
another
guys-
Yeah,
lesson from Ms.
remember
Manalo.
you were there.
Yeah.
You were there, April. Remember when the happy powder?
Yeah,
And I was
dude.
I was breaking down the history of like a barong and how it was
Yep.
used to hide and all this.
Was that
and that.
true?
So
Is that a true fact? Or
It is something that has been passed around,
Oh.
but then, you know, there are people, of course, in Googling saying that that's not actually true, but it's something that
Oh.
we've learned. It's a legend, right? So
it's a legend.
mhm.
yeah, so it's something that I grew up always thinking that was
Hearing.
the case. Yeah, hearing.
Yeah,
So
as Filipinos. Mhm.
Yeah. Well, see, folks, Lumpia with a Vengeance is not only funny and entertaining, it's educational.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Miss
You are
Manalo needs to do a
learning.
class on history. Philippine history.
She's great.
I think one of the brilliant things you did as a filmmaker was to launch Lumpia comic books. Tell
Oh,
us
yeah.
more about that project.
Yeah, so the while we were in post-production and gearing up for a world premiere during the pandemic, which was crazy, we crowdfunded, our backers crowdfunded a comic book, and obviously it's a comic book film, so it's always been our dream to create our own comic book. And what's great about the comic book, it's created by the same team that made the film. So our producer, Lawrence Ariate, he's an artist. I had
Okay.
no idea that our assistant stunt coordinator, Dante, was also an artist. So we were pulling up people within our own movie film, creating the comic book. And we're now releasing a third issue. It's been so successful outside
Wow.
the film, and it's helped us even at our San Diego Comic-Con premiere last November, which it pulled. You think that, yes, Filipino American, Asian American audience, that's an audience for this film, but
Mhm.
we discovered that this plays to a totally nerd audience, and
Yeah.
we would argue they've enjoyed the movie even more so than the Filipino American audience, which was
That's funny.
so we've expanded. We're talking about Gemini's character in this thing, and I literally just finished writing Gemini #1. So we even have a Gemini comic book coming out, spinning off from that character. So there's a lot of, we've expanded it, and we're calling it the Deep Fried Universe, the DFU. So that's and again, not
perfect.
my invention, but again, it's just our wacky, crazy fans that are really
Come up with.
they're invested in this new universe, and we're just trying to draw stuff in the comic book that we couldn't afford on screen, so we can now write as many explosions and draw as much as we can.
Yeah. That's so amazing. And you've created this whole new arena to celebrate Filipino American artists and writers.
Yes.
You really expanded that. And it's neat for your fans too, because you get to develop those characters, like you said, and in another art form. It's so cool. And then you guys all get to appear as like the cartoon version, the comic book version of yourselves, which is even cooler.
I mean, it's community building, right? And building
It
this
is.
IP. And so look, I wouldn't have thought years later there would be a sequel to Lumpia, the original Lumpia.
Mhm.
But here we are now, and now there's a comic book. Who knows what the future holds, right? But it's really, we only do really what excites people. If that audience or gets tired of it, then we stop. But we're gonna keep going until someone tells us to stop.
There you go. Well, and comic books, are kind of for a multi-generational audience. So they can share these, you know, among like grandparents and kids, or parents and kids, or uncles and aunts, cousins. So that's really good. Where can people find the comic books if they're interested?
So obviously, if you're watching this, you already watched the movie. You actually get a free digital copy of the first issue. But
So exciting.
yes, and then there's an exclusive DisOrient cover to that. So check that out by Gerald Polari. And of course, we have our comic books is always on lumpiamovie.com. They're all there, and a lot of variant covers, and they're done by not only independent artists but also legends like Patricio. So even within the comic book industry, we're tapping into even freelance and Filipino artists that we're such fans of. And in a way, the comic book, even this new issue that we're having, more people are jumping on board. And so again, community building, really building up this platform of just really highlighting people's talents. And I think a lot of it is really just keep building it to a point where, you know, if you love the comic book, hopefully this will lead up to a third film.
There you go.
I'm not against it. I'm not against it.
That's right. You put
I hope it doesn't take
there.
7 years to make. That's all my wish.
I know. I mean, can you imagine giving a Lumpia comic book to a Filipinx kid? How cool is that?
I mean,
you know, or maybe
April? we saw that in San Diego Comic-Con. So many parents coming over, and I would say even a lot of our sales online, people from the military ordering stuff. It's funny because I'm in charge of nurturing this baby, but a lot of it is that, you know, you don't realize how many people have seen the original film and the comic books until you see them at the festivals or even at Comic-Con. Comic-Con was a very big big realization to all of us. You know, we didn't realize the power of Lumpia.
Yeah, no kidding. You know, this could be great for any kid, not just Filipino American kid, because you get to gain exposure to the culture. You just kind of, you know, through osmosis go, oh yeah, you know, I know what that is. And, you know, all of a sudden it's familiar. So that's really neat. Can you, one more time, can we credit the artist who designed the special variant cover for the Northwest?
Yes, so Gerald Polari, who actually did the illustrations for the movie, so all the still frames of the characters. Gerald went also from Daly City. We went to high school together. So he's the one who drew the special version. I don't have it with me because it's not printed yet, but well, you can actually print. We'll have a special Hall of Fall covers. You can, if you're a printed person, if you like a print hard copy. So that'll be also on our website.
That's
Gerald
great.
Polari, yeah.
All right, thanks. Shout out to Gerald Polari. We're excited to see it. So, and everyone just go support and buy these for your own collection, and then buy a couple extra because they'd be such a unique gift for anyone who loves comic books. Yeah, that's so awesome. I'm going to get one. So before we end, I'd love to go around and find out what everyone's excited to work on next, what you'd like to do, where they can find your work, what you're up to. So let's start with Edward. What's going on?
Well, I'm just living the family life. I've just retired from the military last year, so
thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you. I'm just taking a knee right now and just thinking about what I'm gonna do next. I mean, like Pat and I hopefully we'll be working on some things, you know, in the near future. That's still undisclosed, but you know, we got a few things up our sleeves.
I bet you do. How about you, Katrina? Where could we see you, or what are you excited to try to do next?
Yeah. What Pat was saying earlier, I did just come back from the Philippines where I competed for Miss Universe Philippines. So I've been doing a bunch of work and things like that. Thank you guys. And then, yeah, I'm going to be passing down my crown in a couple months. And then I just started the nursing program. So it's such a big shift, but I'm still doing, you know, the modeling and all that. But right now, I really want to focus on the nursing part of my life. And then at the same time, waiting to see what Pat has in store for us.
Yeah,
and then we just bought our first home. So that's cool. But yeah, other than that, just chilling and, you know, trying to work hard.
Chilling and representing. So that's all good. Thank
you.
You'll be a great nurse. And I'm sure we'll see you on screen too. So thanks. How about you, April? Tell us where we can find you.
Sure, yeah. If you're on Instagram, I'm there under April Absynth, or you could hit up my website, aprilabsynth.com. And what I'm working on next is season 2 of the TV show Blind Spotting on Stars. Katrina, I see you back there. I love you.
That's
I love
so
you so
cool.
much. And then also, this girl right now, sorry. And then also, I'm working on music.
You're a musician too?
I am. I'm a singer, so I've been working
Oh, that's right, the song. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Uh-huh.
So I'm working on original music. I'm hoping to get an album out sometime this year and get a music video out and all that good stuff. And again,
Tell them how you
also-
perform on stage stuff too. You do
Oh,
performances
yeah,
with your
so
band.
I sing for a few bands in the Bay Area.
Yeah,
We do,
yeah.
like,
What are the
corporate
names of your
events and-
bands?
So there's a Pat Benatar tribute band. We're called
Cool.
Benistar. Yeah, so fun. Oh my God, she's amazing. I love her. And then there's an 80s cover band called Fast Times. And then
Cool.
there's a top 40s band called Pop Fiction.
You got that's a clever name.
Yeah, right. I love that name.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and then whatever else we end up doing together, who knows? And before I mute myself again, I do want to just say like how much I love all of you guys. Thank you so much for having us. And Katrina, like, I got to tell you, I cannot tell you enough how much I admire like how supportive you are to other Filipino women, like, and just women in general, the support and love you give. It's so important because it's so easy for us women to be competitive with others and just that whole culture. And you've never, ever in the whole time I've known you ever been that kind of a person. You've always just been showing love and being so supportive. And I gotta say that just keep doing what you're doing. You're amazing.
Aw, that's awesome.
Aw.
You guys are all amazing. And
Thanks,
Patricio,
April.
We had such a great film festival thing with Lumpia. So this whole year, 2022, is to close out very strong. Hopefully we get a distribution deal. We've been having fun writing really the comic book stuff. I just wrapped up issue 3 of Lumpia the Avengers, which is the final issue. I just wrapped up actually writing Gemini #1, the spinoff. We're gonna announce another comic book series in WonderCon we're gonna be premiering at. And in terms of the film side, there's a biopic that I've had the rights to for years. Some people know about it, but I'm hoping that that's a big project I'm doing, completely different from the superhero thing. Ed was playing coy, but we're actually developing a project together, me and Edward.
Yeah.
So, and of course, the inevitable, Lumpia the sequel, which there is a title already that we've had, but
really?
yes, so all of that, and I think the comic book's been helping us really just. The people are excited about this DFU thing, and so I'm hoping we were fortunate enough to use the crowdfunding and Kickstarter stuff that we're going to announce. We're going to try to enter the metaverse and see if this NFT thing. We're going to probably make a big announcement about that and see if that will help us fund the 3rd film.
So exciting! Yeah. That's so great. We'll keep an eye out for that. And before I forget, I want to tell audiences that are watching, please remember to rate the film after you watch it because it's eligible for an Audience Choice Award.
Nice.
If it's one of your favorites, please let us know. And it's been so fun to hang out with you guys. Thanks for your generous spirit and thank you for sharing because I think everything you've told us is inspiring to other artists of colors who want to tell their story. So thank you so much and continued success.
Thank you, DisOrient. Thank you.
Thank
Pam.
you so
Thank
much,
you.
Thank you guys
DisOrient.
for the
Cool.
support.
Thanks,
I really
Pam.
appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Alex.